Hi, I'm John Nissen, and I want to talk to you about a movie. Inside Llewyn Davis is the Coen brothers' latest masterpiece. It's a profile of a folk musician in New York, 1961. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. And in viewing it multiple times and talking about it with friends, I've realized the true value of the movie is not in viewing it, but rather in contemplating its meaning and talking about it with friends. I consider this movie a poetic masterpiece, and I want to talk to you about some of the ways it's influenced me as a filmgoer. Be warned, there are some spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to, don't watch this video. Go watch the movie and come back. If you're on the fence about whether you want to watch the movie, or if you've never heard about it before, you should watch this video. I think it'll encourage you to watch the movie. I would like to start my analysis by talking about the ending of the movie and what it means to the whole story. The movie opens on Llewyn, the main character, being beat up in an alley for an unknown reason. The movie also closes on the same exact scene. And while this confuses some, I think it speaks volumes about the nature of the main character. If you've seen the movie, you know that Llewyn, the main character, is not a hero. In fact, he's the opposite. He's kind of a terrible person. And the other characters in the movie know this as well. They even say it to his face. I don't think the movie is trying to say that the event happened twice, that he got beat up at the beginning and the end of the movie. Instead, I believe that the movie makers are using a flash forward at the beginning of the movie. This is a technique that's been used by a lot of movie makers. The opening scene of Goodfellas comes to mind.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
The point of the flash forward is to convey that Llewyn's life is cyclical, because as a musician and a person, he refuses to change his ways. He will continue to live in a cycle of pain, hardship, and arrogance.
No, you don't want to go anywhere, and that's why all the same shit is going to keep happening to you because you want it to.
Is that why?
Yes, and also because you're an asshole!
In season 3 of Community, Abed said the following about the nature of stories. Will your story be yet another of a sad man who wanted to be happy? Or will your story acknowledge the very nature of stories and realize that sharing the sad ones can sometimes make them happy? I believe that this sentiment applies to Inside Llewyn Davis perfectly. Unanimously, everyone's first impression of this movie is negative. They'll complain that there's no followable plot and that the ending is really sad. And I'll concede that these things are true, but they're on purpose. This movie is poetic in nature, in that it portrays the darkest depths of human depravity without holding back. This is not a particularly pleasant movie to watch. But I think that the more you think about the messages that it's trying to send about being an artist, a human, selling out, and the need for redemption, I think that this movie will grow on you. I've always been a lover of films that portray an honest look at our human nature and our need for a savior, and no movie does this better than David Fincher's Seven. The difference here is, while I would recommend Inside Llewyn Davis to everyone, I would recommend Seven to virtually no one. This film takes a similar tragic path as Inside Llewyn Davis, but it's decidedly more violent and gory. Seven is a grisly look at human nature that is meticulously and masterfully created. But I wouldn't recommend it to many due to its gore. However, the meaning is still there and it should be valued. I'm not the only one that sees value in tragic art. German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche believed that the Greek tragic arts allowed the spectators to affirm their own existence in a virtually meaningless world. He believed that tragedy transcends other genres of art by allowing the viewers to see the full spectrum of the human condition. And I agree. I haven't seen more of the human condition played out than I have in movies like Goodfellas, Breaking Bad, or even video games like The Last of Us. And ironically, those are some of my favorites of all time. Does this mean I have a demented conscience, taking pleasure in the darkest forms of human error? No. I appreciate a good story that takes an honest look at our depraved human nature and our need for a savior. Crazy Stupid Love is a movie that I'm surprisingly very passionate about, but maybe not in the way you would think. There's this idea of cumulative narrative, in which it's believed that the more we engage in stories together, the more we believe that those stories hold truths.